You're listening to Shows That Shaped Me, a podcast by WhatsOnStage. This week's guest is West End leading lady Gina Beck. Gina's big break came in 2008 when she joined the cast of Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera as Christine Daee. Her subsequent theatre credits include the West End productions of Wicked, Les Miserables and Showboat. Gina's current role finds her back in the West End as Miss Honey in Dennis Kelly and Tim Minchin's critically acclaimed musical adaptation of Roald Dahl's Matilda. Here is Gina Beck.
The most memorable production of my career so far is definitely Showboat, which I was in 2 years ago, which started at the Sheffield Crucible, directed by Daniel Evans, choreography with Alistair David. It was just one of the most fulfilling shows of my career because I've done a lot of takeovers, where I've stepped into a role that's already been going on in the West End. And this is the first time that I got to work on a big production, and obviously a revisited production, but a new one all nonetheless, which was just so wonderfully and beautifully directed by Daniel. It felt so exciting, even though it was such an old piece, to bring it to life with like new feeling, and it weirdly had so much resonance even after nearly 100 years. It felt like we were doing something really fresh, and the cast was fantastic and just so lovely, and Sheffield is like a little bubble, and we had a great time up there. And then we got this amazing fantastic news that we transferred to the new London, and that was so exciting, and it was great to bring it down to the London audiences. Sadly, they didn't appreciate it as much as, well, the critics appreciated it and the audiences appreciated it, but unfortunately we didn't get the kind of numbers that was needed to run for a long time. But nonetheless, it was just such an amazing role to play. It's a show that for my character spanned 40 years. To play that kind of age range is just so unusual, and it felt like it fitted me like a glove. The music, the style of music, the kind of classical quality, and I got to play with two fantastic leading men over the time, Michael Xavier and Chris Peluso. It was an amazing production. The most memorable production as a theatre goer that I can remember is, well, it's quite a hard question to answer, so I'm going to choose three. So the first is rather a classic and probably slightly boring answer, is Les Miserables, because it was the first show that I sort of fell in love with the recording and then got to see when I was a teenager, and just on the cusp of like wanting to get into the business. And I think it's a fantastic show and it's so exciting, and all the music is incredible, and and obviously it's been a large part of my life and my career. But at the time when I first saw it, it was magical. And the second show is actually a slightly more exciting choice, is London Road, which I've chosen mainly because it was probably one of the musicals that most made me think, wow, this is cool. When I first started to watch it, I just turned to the person I was with and just said, this is so cool, like within a few minutes. I just never seen anything like it. And I was talking to someone about it today, and we think it's due for a revival. So anyone out there wanting to put it on, I'd love to be in it. It was just, obviously they made the film of it, which was brilliant as well. It was so interesting and so like weird to listen to, but so like brilliant. And the third choice is actually the production of Hair that came over from America with the full American cast, which I sort of fell in love with over one summer. When I was doing Phantom of the Opera nearby, because I had an alternate, I used to have a lot of time off to go and watch other shows. So I think I saw it about 3 times. And just the voices of the Americans it was just out of this world. Even like, the tiniest part in the ensemble had the voice that killed you, like the minute they opened their mouth. And, the music's incredible and the whole feeling of it. And they'd obviously kind of got into this weird sort of cult. They'd all become the actual characters. And it just really showed that it was so, it was different from something I'd seen before. I loved it. The production that I wish I'd seen, but I didn't, was Sunday in the Park with George at the Wyndham's Theatre. I was at drama school at the time, I think, or just left, and didn't have very much money. And I remember thinking, I should definitely have gone to see that, but I didn't have the money, and I didn't go. And now I regret it hugely, because knowing Daniel Evans and now, and obviously knowing how revered that production was, I just think apparently it was the most magical, amazing production ever. And he won loads of awards, and they, transferred. And I know it must have been fantastic. And I love that piece and the music. And Jenna Russell was apparently stunning. It's just one of those things that I wish I could go back in time and check it out. But maybe there is a video of it somewhere sneakily in some archive in the V&A or something I can go and find. So watch this space, I'll let you know. The person that I would most like to work with is alive. She is called Judi Dench. I've been a big fan of hers since I was very young, when I used to watch As Time Goes By, the incredible sitcom with Jeffrey Dahmer. She's the kind of actress that just can make you laugh and cry within a split second. Something that I think Sheridan Smith has as well. But it's just that kind of weird, I don't know, she's so honest with her acting that, I don't know, it's incredible. And I wish I could be like that. And I know that if we did a show together, that we would become really good friends. I just know it. I know we get on. And apparently she's really naughty backstage and does silly things and does pranks on people and leaves, dead rats on stage and that kind of. And once she went into the Les Mis set and did the barricades because she just happened to be next door doing a play at the Gielgud. I mean, she's just the coolest woman in the world. So Judi, please, if you've got any current projects out there that, need a soprano, 30-something, and just let me know, because I think we could be friends.
Thank you for listening to Shows That Shaped Me, a podcast by What's on Stage. If you enjoyed listening, please do make sure you subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss a single episode. Previous episodes include Rosalie Craig, Drew McConey, James Graham and Lindsay Posner.